Welcome, YouTube and Twitchers.
I'm finishing my breakfast.
It's all good. I just got done with mine.
Everybody, listen to me.
Oh, that's awesome.
I see you all.
Nick, you made that?
I'm gonna be a free man. I'm gonna fight until the end. I'm gonna find the answers here. I'm gonna make it all quite clear.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, boys and girls? I'm Chris. He's Mike. This is William Chandler. This is the Chris and Mike Show. And
Welcome, William.
We're streaming live on Twitch and the YouTube. Michael, I'm sure you're going to be here shortly. Hello.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us, William. Do you for William, Will, Mr. Chandler? Hey, dude, what's up? You know?
I preferred William exclusively for so long,
Yeah.
and then people just started calling me Will,
Oh.
and I couldn't do anything to stop it. So either one of those two will work.
What about Dave?
I've never been a Bill guy, though.
What about Dave? What if we called you Dave?
I don't know yet. We can always see what happens.
That's always his go-to guy for everybody that doesn't
Dave,
exist.
yeah. Dave from
Dave's not
Cheech and
here.
Chong. Remember that bit? Are you that old to remember that bit?
Oh, I loved Cheech and Chong.
Okay, yeah. Remember the bit we're talking about? Hey, man, open up. It's Dave.
It was
What
on a
is it?
cassette tape.
It's Dave, man.
No,
Open the
from
door.
Is that from the Big Bamboo album they did?
I don't know. I don't know. I just remember it being
they
greatest
put that
hits.
on the album.
Now you're going to put me on. I'm not sure what cassette it was on.
Yeah, I thought it was a greatest hits thing, but that was by far though. And I actually found, you know how people can sponsor roads, William?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I sell houses for a living. So I was driving to do a final walkthrough, and sure enough, on the side of the road, one of those adopted highway signs was adopted by Dave. That's all it said, man. Nothing else, just Dave.
Hey,
It was, I sent it to Mike. I'm like, dude, I found it, man.
That was
I
hilarious.
think there has to be some tie to the Cheech and Chong bit.
There has to be.
It says
Yeah.
it's off their first recorded comedy riff back in the days of vinyl. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if it had a name. It just said it's off their first album.
Well, one of their best albums, and I think it won a Grammy, was Big Bamboo.
Oh,
That
for
was my
sure.
dad.
Is that
And
the
I-
one that came with rolling paper in the middle
Yes.
of the? Yeah. All right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I'd break it out and listen to it in the den and just crack up.
Right on. Let's see what happens here, because we've been having some fun with YouTube, sharing our screens and YouTube shutting us down.
They hate us.
But here it is,
everybody.
man. Here it is.
Dave.
Come on, Dave. Let's go. Oh, that's
I love those guys.
Absolutely.
that's awesome. That was one of my first. And on that same little cassette tape I have was like Basketball Jones, Sergeant Sadanko, like all
Yep.
the funny, stupid bits, man. That it's just there's never going to be anybody like them ever again, man. They
Yeah.
found a niche, and they filled that niche and made millions of dollars.
Yeah, and I don't know if all the material stands up,
Oh, true.
nowadays, but and it's almost like you had to be there for some of it, but the classic stuff is just
No
great.
question.
Yeah.
I agree
Yeah.
with you. There's certain
Mhm.
parts of it you kind of had to be there. If you're not our age, it probably doesn't make
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
But
Right.
they do like that bit right there. That's just classic comedy,
Yeah, and there's so much subtlety and intelligence to what they did that people don't even realize.
Well, think
And I
about
think-
what he just played. That just the timing, right? If that timing hadn't worked out, where he waited just long enough to go,
Mhm.
what, Dave? No, man, Dave. He waited long
Yeah.
enough to go, Dave's not here.
Right. And it was
You can't
annoying
just say
'cause-
that right
Right,
after, or it wouldn't be
right.
funny.
Right.
Yeah, the
Absolutely.
timing with them is great. I think the timing with all the best comedians is such a secret weapon. And when
Agreed.
you know how to do it and do it right, then that works out.
Mhm. Yep. Absolutely, man. Hi, Michael. We said hi to you earlier, dude. You weren't here yet, so you're late. You're punished. You're. So, William, let's talk about you because that's why you're here. You sent us some stuff. I dig some of the stuff you sent for sure. I didn't listen to all of it, full disclosure, but I did listen to some of it. I like to kind of keep everything organic when we do this. I don't really like diving into the person we're talking to because then it's just an interview, and it's kind of boring. So,
Yeah, I got you.
I went through all 3 of your songs. I thought they were all outstanding.
Oh, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
The one that you sent us on the phone, I really appreciated the tones. I'm really, we were talking about it right before Chris got on here, the sound of things, that is as important as the composition, and the riff was outstanding and the drums are cool, but I like when people pick the right sound for it too. Like that aggressive guitar part was just perfect as far as the sound goes. And I agree with Chris. I went back and listened to the lyrics, and your lyrics are outstanding, man.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. So, those songs now, those are what I call the new House Divided songs.
Okay.
And they're like, 15 years old, at least.
Right on.
And they were kind of written as the band was kind of petering out and going our separate ways and having real life and real family and marriage kind of get in the way.
Yeah.
But the one you're talking about, Mike, that was done with my Gibson Les Paul through a Marshall and an orange cab. So like the difference between that tone and
that's
the one
the
in
uniqueness
the
in the sound for sure.
Yeah, so those other two were done with one of my Ibanez guitars where the pickups are just about shot. And those pickups were on their last legs, but didn't really have the budget to replace them or replace the guitar. And they were good for just going in and recording 2 songs in a day. But no, the sound quality between those first 2 songs and that one I sent you over the phone is night and day. Even though it was done in exactly the same studio with exactly the same engineer. He was just able to capture that Gibson with the Marshall, and it's like the way I like to put it is like I don't know what God sounds like, or if there is one.
Oh, was it Eddie Van Halen?
No. This is something I deal with. It's like I don't know if I would ever hear God, but I know what he sounds like.
I got you.
He sounds like a Gibson through a Marshall.
Okay, so I'll tell you a quick story that's you just squirrel moment right into that. So I'm working at Guitar Center in Phoenix, somewhere around, I don't know, 2003, 4 maybe. And this guy comes in and he wanted what he called a special guitar, right? He's looking at all the custom shops.
Right.
And I was like, well, that's as special as they get. Everything that you can't reach, right? He said, no, you don't understand. He said, I'm looking for a special guitar. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I got to go talk to my manager or somebody. So long story short, they're like, he's looking for like a back room kind of thing. In Hollywood at Guitar Center, they have like the private back room where Slash can go in and people have to be invited in to see these guitars.
Wow.
So we
Bastards.
find him a Murphy Lab, Tom Murphy, Les Paul, that was in Scottsdale. He waits for it to be driven over. He takes 2 of those custom shops and that Murphy Lab, and we go in a private room where it's quiet. We plug it into a Marshall Combo tube amp. And what you're saying is exactly what I experienced. This guy turned out to be one of the top 25 most influential guitar players of all time, as voted by Rolling Stone. His name was Ted Turner, the same as the guy that owned the movie or the TV stations. But this guy played in a band called Wishbone Ash back in the late 60s, early 70s.
I know the name of the band.
He's credited with being one of the 2 guitar players who developed like that twin guitar attack that we know today, like Def Leppard,
Thin Lizzy.
Thin Lizzy, another great example. These 2 guys, him and another guy, are credited with developing that sound where instead of playing just the same chords all the time, you're playing harmonies. And so he plays through the 2 custom shops, which sound great, which William and I could buy, right? Just right off the shelf. And they're great guitars. They cost around $3,000-$4,000. This Murphy Lab started at, I think he ended up paying about 10.5. I think they wanted 12.
Wow.
But the difference in the sound of that guitar versus what you and I would consider the best guitars available to us was what you just said. We don't know what God sounds, or we don't know what God is, but we know what he sounds like.
Well, Eddie Van Halen. I thought we already talked about that.
No question. I'm not arguing your comment at all, Chris. He did have one of the best tones on the planet ever.
Yeah. I mean, to get a really great guitar with a great tone it's such almost like a privilege, because when you hear the difference between a good guitar and a great one, it there aren't many better feelings than to be able to create with that and hear it played back to you.
And since I'm talking to a fellow musician, it was the difference in the mid to high. You know, instead of being muddy in the mid range and not cutting through. So, you know, to people that aren't musicians, it would be like you're not hearing all the notes in the chord. So you're playing 5 strings and it all just sounds like one string. That's a bad piece of wood, right?
Yeah.
This piece of wood was so special that you could literally hear every note he was picking, even though he was playing an entire chord.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And then,
Just
of course, what's the other thing we're looking for as guitar players? Sustain. That the sound rings out and doesn't die.
Yeah, and I think that is what the Les Paul has over so many other guitars. The sustain on it is just unbelievable. And, you know, now that I've got the one, I can't wait to eventually get a second one and a third one and a fourth one.
At that same store, I was gifted one. One of my clients actually gave me one.
Oh,
I didn't even know what I'm not sure I said anything. I'm still speechless. Like
the one I got was actually, it was the gift from my wife and a bunch of other people that chipped in for my 40th birthday.
That's all.
Oh, right on.
Oh,
so special.
you talk about an emotional moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a good time. I thought I'd be making a lot more music with that guitar, but eventually it'll all come out. I'm finally starting to learn, you know, home recording and whatnot, and I've got everything I need for it. I just have to sit down and actually learn to be the studio guy instead of just the musician.
I've been the studio guy before, but about the time Chris and I started doing this podcast, my job that makes this possible at the moment decided I needed to work more, and then we ended up working more and more. And so you got to kind of choose what you're going to do in your 24 hours, right?
Exactly. There's a lot to do, and our kids are very busy, and that takes up a lot of time. But it's time that I'm happy to sacrifice to make sure that their you know, high school and middle school years are fortuitous and very happy.
So damn kids,
right? Sons of bitches. So take us back to when you started. Like, what made you want to, you know, I know what made me want to play guitar. I was kind of introverted, and you know, music spoke to me. It was something I could do by myself. So what made you want to play guitar, and where did you take it before you became dad and husband?
Right. So I fell in love with music about 3 years old.
Wow. You beat me.
And so, you know, fell in love with the bands that my dad loved by osmosis, you know, The Doors, Crosby, Stills, Nash, the Beatles.
We have that in common.
Yeah, great. And this is where me and Chris are going to actually diverge.
Oh,
because then I discovered Kiss.
Okay.
And
I love Kiss.
I don't
and I know you don't like Kiss.
I love Kiss, William.
Yeah.
They are not only the most important band in my life, like they're one of the most important forces in my life. Like,
oh, gotcha.
And they are for a lot of guitar players, for sure.
You know, kept me going. And, you know, I think that 2 to 4 members of probably the most respected and most popular bands of the last 30 years can all point to Kiss as an influence.
Absolutely.
And so I was one of those. when I was 9, I got my first guitar. It was actually a Cort Les Paul copy.
I remember those.
Sounded horrible, but it was left-handed. And so this is,
You're a lefty?
I'm 9 years old in Lubbock, Texas. So to actually even have a left-handed guitar
Right.
in Lubbock was amazing.
Yeah,
My
people
parents
don't realize they didn't make a lot of left-handed guitars when we were growing up. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 48.
Okay, so we're all in the same 4-year period.
Yeah, kind of the same bracket there. And it's not, it doesn't even seem like they make that many now, because I can walk into Guitar Center almost anywhere and find, in the Metroplex with, 8 locations, I might find 1 or 2 lefties at all.
But back in your day, you wouldn't find any.
Exactly. So in 86, when they got me this, it was, it was just a godsend that it was there. So they surprised me after telling me that they just weren't going to be able to afford it. They got it for me for Christmas. I fell in love with it, and then I put it under my bed, and it sat there for about 5 years.
Really?
Yeah. I just wasn't studious enough. I wasn't ready. It was like the kid who says that they'll take care of the dog if you just get them the dog.
Oh, yeah.
And then it becomes the parents' dog. So the guitar became the bed's guitar until May of 1992.
Okay.
I was listening to my dad's cassette of Ted Nugent's 1974 solo debut.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, Mike used to play a Cat Scratch Fever as a break in our shows for me. He would do Cat Scratch Fever, so we'd be like 6 songs in the set, and here, Mike Michaels, ladies and gentlemen, wow! We just
I'm pretty confident that's the only song I've ever sang in front of people.
Yeah, he tears it up, man. Yeah, he does a good job.
That's cool. And so it was something about that album, just grabbed me and was like, this is what I should be doing. This is what I want to do. That album had everything from almost metal songs to bluesy songs, slower songs. It was kind of a combination of stuff that kind of could be, you could kind of predict would be what the 90s was, where a band could make more than just one kind of style or one genre of song and put it all on one album.
That's a good way of saying what happened in the 90s. It's almost like we threw, and Chris and I talk about this a lot, it's almost like we threw every style that was available into a pot and stirred it up, and whatever came out is what came out. That's why that music's so good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, it encompassed everything. And I feel nowadays so grateful to have been a teenager in the 90s.
I say that so much. We were in our 20s, but I say that so much. To have been there and to have been a part of it. Him and I were a part of it.
Exactly.
Well, think about what we all grew up with. We all grew up with the 80s and the 90s, right?
Right.
Those are typically our teen years, and then you hit the 2000s. But the 80s and 90s, by far, I think were, from a music revolution standpoint, 2 of the best decades ever. I mean, just it reshaped and changed. I mean, aside from what Sabbath did in the 70s, right? What Metallica did,
right?
And they were what, late 70s, early 80s Metallica?
Early 80s.
No, their first album was 83.
83.
Okay, yeah. So they were probably, no one heard of them back in the 70s. But yeah, but think about that. Aside from those 2 bands, Black Sabbath and Metallica, nothing really changed the music industry until Seattle came out, until Nirvana dropped. And
You're
then all of a sudden,
correct.
And then all of a sudden it's, we're going grunge now, right? And but that afforded us, meaning Mike and I, when we were playing in Nemesis, the ability to open for huge headlining bands in the 80s that were now opening or headlining a show in Phoenix at the Mason Jar.
Yeah, like LA Guns came through there.
Enough's Enough.
I saw them in an arena. We opened up for them. Then we opened up for Enough's Enough. I saw them in an arena. Mm-hmm. I was like, holy crap. Now you're playing for the same 200 people we are,
Right. But that was what it did, though, right? Because then all the 80s hair bands and shit, it's like all of a sudden they're playing clubs again. It was the weirdest dynamic in the music
But we
world,
also
man.
got some amazing opportunities, like he says, that a lot of bands would have never had.
True.
We opened up for the Marshall Tucker band, man. Mm-hmm. We were a heavy rock band. We weren't heavy metal. He wasn't a screaming vocalist. Mm-hmm. His vocals were melodic.
Song that the song we start the show with is our song Free Man that we wrote probably 30 years ago.
Yeah. That's cool.
So I mean, that kind of just tells you that we were. I always tell people we were Creed before Creed, because when you try to define a sound, it's hard.
And we were there
because
before
we
they
were
were.
pre iTunes and pre all the Spotify's and.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. So when people ask me, and I'm kind of jumping, I'm fast forwarding a little bit in my story.
That's
When
fine.
they ask me what House Divided sound like, they're like,
Okay.
you know, what is your band? What kind of band are you? I was
Yeah.
like, well, if Nirvana and Soundgarden were driving in a blue Chevelle, and Metallica and Pantera were in the A-Team van
Right.
going the opposite direction, and they actually had a head-on collision,
Okay.
and the doctors that tried to heal them and fix them and put them back together were Jane's Addiction and Led Zeppelin. The resulting mangled, beautiful atrocity would be House Divided.
I love that.
And
Yeah.
I
Glad
don't
you put
even
some
know
thought into
if-
that.
I don't even know if there's a simpler way to put it or
Yeah.
a more accurate way to put it, except to
Yeah.
add maybe one or two more bands even to
Mm.
that description. And so, when, that Nugent album, for some reason, grabbed a hold of me. I'd rededicated myself to playing the guitar, but my left-handed chord was now just wood. It wasn't even, the electronics were shot. So I started playing my dad's Fender, his right-handed Fender, upside
Gotcha.
down. And that's where I first started writing songs, was playing that Fender completely upside down. And then a year later, I
Jimi
had
Hendrix
the
style?
money.
Like you strung it
Yeah.
upside down?
No, completely upside down. I didn't restring it at all.
Nice.
Oh, shit.
So he would take a righty and restring it to play it left-handed.
Yeah.
I was
Yes.
playing completely upside down.
Oh my God, that scrambles my brain.
And I even came up with like chords. I would write them down and name them this and that or the other. And, I'm sure that those chords had already been invented standard right side up style, but to me, they were completely different chords.
That's cool.
About a year after that, I was able to get my first proper lefty, and that was this black Ibanez RG 550, and had been looking for bandmates that entire time. That was my sophomore year of high school. Eventually found a whole band in the high school, and me and the drummer, Nikki Simic, we have been, bandmates and close friends to this point. We're brothers now ever since. And that was our first jam session was February of 93, playing, Smells Like Teen Spirit and Symphony of Destruction for about 30 seconds before it all falls apart.
Yep.
And
those are the
and one day,
wonderful
Nikki,
moments.
yeah, it was just in his parents' garage, and one day he was like, I want to kind of jam on Will's songs. And we started doing that. And then all of a sudden, the other guys that came to jam, they started not coming over. And it was me and Nikki playing my originals. And then he was like, I'm a drummer, but I can play guitar too. And he would write songs, and we would just go out and sit with acoustics and play, and eventually formed House Divided.
Nice.
And I mean, it's what I thought I was going to do. I thought I was going to be a rock star.
So did we.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Ditto.
And we'd gotten to the point where there was some interest from Island Records. There was interest from Grand Royal, the Beastie Boys label. And one or two guys from Sony were supposed to come out and actually see us play, but I don't think they ever even made it out. And I can look back now and tell you like the three main mistakes that probably kept us from being rock stars. And a big one was that we should have been a quartet. We were a trio. And I insisted on staying that way because I was like, they're my lyrics. I want to sing them. It's my guitar. I want to play it. But I can't give 100%. I couldn't give 100% to both.
It's funny you say that about number one. I'm not to interrupt you, but we were the opposite. When Chris left, we tried to be a trio and it didn't work. So just to put it into perspective for you, I think unless you're Rush or ZZ Top, that's not going to work.
Or Triumph.
Yeah, I mean, it works for a few.
There's 100 bands that succeeded. I'm just being funny.
I know.
but yeah, so
So
and
what's number 2 and 3?
if we got an actual manager so that
Okay.
I wasn't trying to do all of that and write all the songs and have the
Yep.
creative control and 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 if we had just if I had just listened more.
Mm.
The entire other side of that is maybe the other guys weren't as dedicated as I was.
Mm.
So like I could have said, "Hey, why don't I just go find other guys?" But
Right.
I think that we were loyal to each other as friends.
Yeah.
And I actually didn't want to lose the friendship. And I figured if I lost them as bandmates, then I would be losing them as friends.
Yeah.
So I have a similar story, but luckily, I'm going to try and say this in the nicest way possible because I love this guy like a brother.
It's okay,
but-
dude. Rip it off like a Band-Aid.
No, it's not you, it's Scott.
Oh, okay.
And he's no longer with us, so I really want to say this. Scott had an edge to him, right?
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
a drummer. It takes a
Yeah.
certain kind of personality to want to beat the shit out of something for hours on end,
True.
right?
True.
So our first guitar or bass player / singer was the same as you. He was a singer and a bass player. So we were a trio at the time, but he had horrible stage fright. So we had to do what you're talking about. We had to basically say this, even though we love this guy,
Right.
it isn't going to work. So then, him and I had a conversation about how we're going to become attached to these people, but this is a business. This is what we want to do with our life. So
Right.
those people have to have the same dedication that we do. And that's when we found Chris and our own William, who was our bass player. It's hard
Right.
not to call him Rick. It's
I know. I was saying it was.
it's killing me because he was
Yeah.
Rick to us forever,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
he wants to be called William now, and I respect
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
anyway, we had to do the same thing you're talking about. We had to just say, okay, we want to make money at this, and we need people who are going to have the same outlook that we do. They're not going to make excuses why they can't be at practice and blah, blah, blah. We
Right.
practiced every day, or we had a gig. That was just
Right.
it. It wasn't, there were no days off.
Exactly. And we managed to, in a pretty short time, got to the point where I was doing, begging clubs to let us play.
Oh, yeah.
To within about 4 months, I was getting calls from the biggest clubs in Dallas to headline shows.
Nice.
That's such a great
And-
feeling.
It is a great feeling. And what we did with that was drop the ball, basically. Because the guys had been telling me, hey, people like the songs, but we need to get like a real singer. And I didn't realize that I had to actually practice my voice just like I did the guitar.
Oh yeah.
Like that it was an instrument. Because when
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
writing the songs, I was hearing this voice
Yeah.
on how I wanted it to be sung, but I didn't realize that I was actually biting off more than I could chew. Especially with the fact that I wasn't writing like just the simplest 3-chord songs.
Right.
And to try to be, complex and write these aggressive riffs with a guitar and sing over that in a more abstract way, I could have just been, better educated because I don't have any music education. I just taught myself to play for the most part. And if we had had someone who could just dedicate 100% to being a singer, it would have
Yep.
improved us. And then those guys probably would have been, way more dedicated and loyal, knowing that we're actually on the same page.
Right.
And I don't think we were able to, or at least I wasn't able to understand that until it was probably too late.
Well, something you just said that's super important for people to understand is just because a guy's standing up there, or gal or whatever, without something, an instrument, doesn't mean they're not a musician.
Right.
Exactly.
Chris writes melodies, right?
Yeah.
So he's singing. A lot of times there's no music to what he's singing. We do it both ways. So I'll write a piece of music and he'll say, I got lyrics for that. Or he'll send me something blank and he'll have an idea what his melody is and he'll hum it out or he'll sing it out if he's got the lyrics. And I'll place the music to his melody. It's not always, I think a lot of times he beats himself up about not being a musician. A singer is every bit a musician as anybody else. Just watch a YouTube video of people explaining what singers are doing. Him and I have a lot of the same similarities in that I know enough theory to get me in trouble. He's not a trained musician either. I think that's what he's saying when he's saying he isn't a musician.
Yeah.
We have an innate ability of knowing what people want to hear without knowing how we're doing that, right?
Right.
It's almost like you're flying blind.
Yeah, I think that Anthony Kiedis of the Red Hot Chili Peppers is a big example, because when he talks about the band, he talks about how they're musicians,
And
he almost just basically kind of lucked into being in the band.
Yes.
But he's the guy writing all the lyrics and all the melodies, and his vocal style and his vocal ability has just grown exponentially over the years, from when they were just kind of a joke to now being, to me, just a great band and another important.
And here's my comeback when someone would give somebody like him shit. I would say, okay, so imagine the Red Hot Chili Peppers released all that music without Anthony Kiedis as the front man and the singer. It's just instrumental music, right? How popular would they have been?
Yeah,
exactly.
People are listening to him. I was hyper aware of that when we were putting this band together 30 years ago. That was important to me, that I wasn't the showcase of the band or the drummer wasn't. We're a band. People are looking at the person who's talking to the crowd and singing. That's just a fact.
With the passing of Ozzy, I think that there's a lot of analysis done about him, and he wasn't the guy writing his songs when he had a solo career, and he wasn't the guy writing the songs in Sabbath. But can you imagine like someone else with those first 7 Sabbath albums? Like his voice, his character, his personality basically carried heavy metal in 2 different forms for like 4 decades. And that's more a testament to him than I think anything else can be, because it's not, it's not the Randy Rhoads band or the Zakk Wylde band. It's Ozzy Osbourne.
Right.
And you need that personality and that example to just kind of lead you and lead metal basically for as long as he did.
And his impact on the world was just not musically, and that was prevalent when the funeral procession happened, and when Jack finally released a statement after the fact. Like, they were blown away. They were absolutely blown away at not only the procession and the amount of people that gathered for that, but he alluded to reading every single note, every single email, every single comment on all their social media from everybody, across the world, and how much Ozzy had touched them. Whether it was like, some people didn't know who Ozzy Osbourne was until the Osbournes on MTV. I mean, exactly. As crazy as that sounds, right? But so and I mean, one of the funniest things I ever thought from that show was when him and Sharon were in the arena, and she was talking about Bubbles coming off the stage. You remember that? And he's like, "Fucking Bubbles, I'm the Prince of Darkness."
Prince of Darkness.
But that was genuine. Like, you couldn't write. Like, most reality shows, you have to script and write. Otherwise, you have no plots and no relevance, and doesn't. But Ozzy was so raw and genuine, and he had such a strong presence. Even though half the time you couldn't understand what he said, but you still hung on the seat because you're trying to pick up what he said. Because I mean, the fact that they let that shit fly at a time where censorship was so high. I mean, it was there were episodes where every third word were bleeped out, but that showed the world, I think, here's a real human being. Yes, he's a rock star. Yes, he's one of the icons that's credited with founding heavy metal. Yeah. But he's got 5 fucking little dogs and 5 kids and an annoying wife, and they're going around this house, and it was a cool show because it took him to a whole nother level, which is the brilliance of Sharon, because she obviously was behind that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And then he did this stuff with Jack and Ozzy's road tour, whatever it was. Which was great because there's a whole other dynamic of a father and son, enjoying time together and exploring shit. So, and then you throw the music in it, and then you look at the music catalog. I saw something after his death. It would take, I think it was 23 consecutive hours of listening to music to actually touch every single song Ozzy sang on, from Sabbath to solo. So the impact of that, right? Yeah. So that's the thing. And when you talk about impact of somebody, you don't realize their impact until they're gone, and then it's like, holy shit, It's just mind-boggling. And the fact that the people that passed before him that were huge, like Van Halen. Eddie Van Halen was huge, right? But there was nothing like what Ozzy had as a funeral service. I don't remember what Van Halen's family did for him, but it just, it's one of those things that it's very rare that you see that amount of people come out for basically an entertainer that, but you got to put him up with the Elvis level, right? Because
no question.
You just have to.
He's basically a singular phenomenon in music. He's a singular force. And, the music by itself, the music could speak for itself, and its influence on all the hard rock and heavy metal that came after it.
Right.
But like you said with the Osbournes, like pop culture, he basically, outgrew himself and outgrew the music to become like a symbol. And even
that's what I was just going to say.
He's a funny old guy.
People that don't
speak right.
People that don't even know who Ozzy or don't even know his music knew who he was.
Right.
Exactly. And I think that's as simple a testimony to someone's influence and greatness as there can be.
No question.
Yeah.
And
the personality. Right. I would be surprised. Like there's rumors that there's 20,000 finished songs in Eddie Van Halen's vault that, who knows how that'll ever come out because the way he kept notes and shit or cataloged it. But I you got to think Ozzy has a deep rooted vault, just like Prince has a deep rooted vault, right? But everybody that's somebody in that's reached that level, you got to think that if they weren't out recording or weren't out playing, they were home recording and writing and shit. Because you just when you get to that level, I don't think you can turn it off. I don't think you want to turn it off.
No.
Right. And I think with Prince, because he tried to write a song every day, and so if he's writing a song every day, he would recording a song every day.
Right.
And I think with him, like he probably released about 10 albums in a row that we don't really think are even that good because he had to compete with himself.
Right.
And which I think Purple Rain might even be like the best album ever.
Start to finish, it's one of those albums,
yeah.
No
It's one of those just basically perfect albums. And so it makes me wonder, like, what is in that vault?
Yeah.
Because 10 years before he died, people would talk about the vault and how much music we haven't even heard.
Yeah.
And because he didn't have a producer that sat there and told him, maybe you don't put this song in an album. How many of those songs a producer would have said, don't you understand?
Put this on.
Would be like the best song of the year. And he was like, no, I'm not.
That's a great point.
Yeah, that is a great point. Nice job, William.
Thank you.
I never thought of it that way. And that can be said the same thing with Ozzy and Eddie Van Halen, like, but it's not the same now that they're gone. The world got quiet when Ozzy died. That was my first thing. Like the world just got quieter.
Yeah. And because he was able to have a full life and it wasn't some shock that happened, just out of the blue,
right?
You would expect it to be less tragic or, less of a letdown. But man, it sucked. Like,
but we all knew it was coming. I mean, it's the way he lived. He epitomized the rock and roll lifestyle, right? I mean,
I think you just said it.
Definitely.
We didn't expect that we were going to understand at that moment, everybody who was that close to Ozzy, that the world would get that. You're not going to hear that voice anymore. What you just said is very profound. It got quieter.
Yeah.
You're not going to have that pushback. And he did it in such an intelligent way, whether he knew it or not. He didn't push back so hard that he wasn't taken seriously.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Somehow we looked at him like we looked at him as somewhat of a fool and the most intelligent person we have ever known at the same time.
Right.
So I think he had the world by the balls. Yeah, he got to have fun and teach us something at the same time.
Yeah, and not be some kind of rock star tragedy. Right. I think it's amazing when you think about how, he didn't die young. None of the guys in Motley died young. Like, that they're all still here is just unbelievable. It makes you wonder if it's the lifestyle that actually can keep you alive like that, or if they were just meant to be these superhuman Viking, raiders that went from town to town, basically
Yeah.
destroying themselves along with 20,000 people one night.
Well, and it's catching up to him too. I mean, Mick Mars his health has degenerated for years, and now you got all the stories about Vince Neil having 4 strokes, not just 1 but 4. But I mean that dude's the epitome of unhealth, man. You look at him, it's like, dude, like, come on, man. I don't like Loverboy's lead singer Mike Reno. You see him, man. It's like, holy shit, what happened to you, dude? Like you're these icons. How can you let yourself go so far that way?
Yeah.
When you're this, and you always will be an icon. Like it's just, you're always having something attached to you because of what you did for your living for your entire life. It's just, it's sad to see people like Vince Neil that are, because to me, from a singing standpoint, I equate, okay, you're out of shape, so far out of shape. That's affecting how you sound. It's affecting how you sing. It's affecting how you breathe.
Just listen to some of those live performances. They're horrible.
It's right. And it's
horrible.
Right. And the breathing and the strength of your core and stuff is so important for a singer. It's just like, okay, Vince, like, and you can't even understand him. He's like inaudible. It's just, it's pathetic. It's like, dude, hang it up, go away, don't come back, because you're destroying your legacy. David Lee Roth is destroying his legacy as the greatest frontman who ever graced the stage. You look up frontman in the dictionary, David Lee Roth.
As far as rock and roll goes, absolutely.
Right.
You're
and then
100%.
You take the last 10 years, like, dude, and Mike and I have talked about this till we're blue in the face, and, apparently he's a superhuman, nice guy, very humble and shit, but it's like, dude, just give it up now.
Yeah. I can't argue with that, because if you listen to it, it's horrible.
Just stop. Yeah. It's he's not selling out his shows. It's people are just railing him after the show. It's like, dude, just go off into the sunset, man. Write your memoirs or something. Do a little, release stuff you've never released before, but stop fucking touring, man. It's painful. It's like a car crash. Same with the Scorpions. Klaus, man, you can't sing anymore, man. Fucking call it a day. Vince Neil, call it a day.
Johnson from AC/DC.
Right.
It's bad, and I feel bad because I actually never got to see AC/DC live.
Oh, they're amazing.
And now,
when
I see the videos of this last tour, I'm like, God, like,
it's because he's all throat, man. It's like, actually, you can't sustain, like when Shinedown first came out, I made a comment to Mike like, this dude's not going to last, but he learned how to sing with his throat and his diaphragm and the full voice, and he's sustained the test of time. Axl didn't do that. David Lee Roth doesn't do that. Brian Johnson doesn't do that. Cobain would not be able to sing like he sung in the debut album today if he was still around.
No,
you can't sustain that rasp, because I had part of that. Was part of my structure of a singer. I had that raspy, that fucking gutter roll.
Yeah,
I couldn't do that shit now, man. I'll try to hold that shit. I'll start coughing, because you can't sustain it for 30 years and still sound the same. When Steven Tyler did the thing with Youngblood and stuff, that medley, Mike and I are watching that together at the same time, and it's like waiting for him to hit that note, waiting, and then he hit it. It's like, sweet, but that's because he probably hasn't sang in like 6 months.
Right.
They canceled the Aerosmith tour because of his voice. So
because
exactly.
You're proving your own point, because he couldn't do that night after night after night after night anymore. He can do it one time in maybe a month, or one time every 2 months.
And their entire catalog is him going up that ladder, man. You just,
the guys that were able to push their voices to these just ungodly levels are the ones that suffered later. And us as fans, we're like, well, how come you can't just sing the way you used to? Well, because
you're not 25 years old anymore.
Like I hadn't realized it, but Chris Cornell, who I think is one of the best singers ever of any genre, I'd gone back and watched some video of the last tour they did.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh, maybe it actually wasn't as good as I thought it was when I was actually in the crowd.
Right.
But
and
one thing I'll say in his defense is his ex was saying that she was 100% confident that they were way over prescribing, like his benzodiazepine shit that he was taking. And so he might have been so out of his fucking mind that he didn't know how to sing the way that he used to anymore too, because I went down that road for a while. I never abused him, but I used them to get my life back on track for a while. And the one thing that I'll say about those is they make you kind of feel nothing for a while. You know, you just don't want to do anything. You're not sad anymore, but you're not wanting to really be productive and creative either. So about the time you saw him, he might have been going through a period where he was just numb. And the fact that he either took too many accidentally or did it on purpose proves that he was in a place in his head where he just wasn't happy, you know?
Right.
Well, he's the same example with him too. Right? What he did when they first came out, and you got to remember too, the Seattle Sound that was around what 10 years
I heard
before they actually started
Soundgarden.
breaking.
This is going to be fascinating to people.
Yeah,
I
okay.
actually heard Soundgarden. I basically live in the middle of a cornfield here. There's 12,000 people in my town. In 1987.
Yeah.
My buddy Mike Wagner had a cassette, and we popped it in his stereo in his bedroom, and he cranked it up, and Loud Love came on, and I was like, holy fuck, these guys are going to change the world, man. That riff just captured me right away.
That took how long? When did they hit 90? Was it early 90s?
Soundgarden basically didn't get popular until 93,
92.
4 maybe.
So there you go. There you go.
Okay.
So there you go. There's 10 years, right? There's not 5 years. 5 years, but
Half a
that's what I'm
decade.
saying. So, so all the singing you did as a young, you know, I don't know, young person, let's call it, right?
Yeah.
And then he died how old when he was 50? 45, 50?
Somewhere around there, yeah, mid 40s maybe.
So, you know,
actually, he was in his 50s.
50s.
So okay, so figure 35 plus years of singing, and he was a lot of throat singer. You know, he still had the other part elements to it, but a lot of the power like Axl, seven octave range, fantastic, but he can't do it anymore. And then you see those things on Facebook, Instagram. Oh, before auto tune, all he's doing is screaming. That's all he's doing is screaming, man. You don't need to auto tune to scream. Like, shut up. Find a fucking song where you're singing, okay, before auto tune. Like Patience, that showed the dynamic of his voice.
Oh, God,
but
love that song.
but you know, they do the Welcome to the Jungle scream. Like, really? Who's gonna auto tune a scream anyway? You idiots.
And now watching him do that is
It's painful.
it's very painful.
It's painful.
But
I
at the
love
time, he had hit that note in key. I mean,
Sure.
Right. Yeah. And there weren't many people that could do it like that.
No,
That good.
absolutely not. No, when Appetite came out, dude, when you saw that video on MTV, it's like, holy shit.
changed the world.
Like what?
Yeah.
I
And
just
he's-
read that.
you know.
I didn't know this. That's the best-selling debut album of all time. They surpassed Boston.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
not surprising at all.
16 million to 18 million. So Appetite sold 18 million, 2 million more copies than Boston's debut album,
And I
which was
think
the
that-
king forever.
Just in the U.S.
Yes.
It's not even
Yeah.
including worldwide sales. So yeah. I mean, no, that was a phenomenon that needed to happen. Kind of like
Well, yeah, 'cause
the
it-
have seismic before grunge hit, I think is Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
You know, the other important album, at least in my mind, is the Black Crowes' first album, because
Shake your
Appetite
mind.
and the first Black Crowes album came out in the middle of all the 80s bands starting to sound exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And look the same.
Yes.
Even Ozzy wore sequins.
Yes. He did.
86, The Ultimate Sin.
The Ultimate Sin album.
I love that album. He hates it. He absolutely hated it.
I love that album.
Me
See?
too. I love
Because
Jake.
it's got a lot of hooks on it, man. It's got a lot of.
I remember
of,
begging my parents to buy me a ticket to that concert. It was at 86 in Lubbock, and that was a no-go. Iron Maiden that same year was a no-go.
Oh,
It took moving to Dallas Fort Worth and you know, getting a little bit older to finally get tickets to shows. And then I think after 92, I just didn't stop going to shows.
Yeah.
Concerts are such an amazing thing.
So
Salt
you're
Can
old enough
Hair
to. You're
earlier
old
in
enough to remember.
September.
Yeah, so you're old enough to remember the paper tickets, right? Like
Oh,
when I
God,
got
yes. I
rushed
still have
when
them, yeah.
I got rush tickets, right? They would be glitter. The name would be in glitter. Yeah, right. Fucking glitter. Imagine the ticket people at
I
the
remember
Dillard's,
that.
because got it from Dillard's box office. Fucking glue glitter. And just sit there doing it for hours, because somebody had to do it, right? And here's your ticket to Rush. It was like $5 in this glitter, and then they ripped it. That when you walked in the door, it's like, oh, I wanted to save that. You know.
And every ticket on top of another one is kind of just shaving it off little by little.
Yep.
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 So there's
Yep.
glitter everywhere that Rush went.
Yeah. I remember that shit, man.
Well, we still did paper tickets when we were
I
selling
have some somewhere.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah, just dated ourselves, man.
Oh, so this actually, this is very cool that we're doing this on this day.
Yeah.
Because Friday, September 26th is the 28th anniversary to the day of our very first show as House Divided.
Oh, right on.
That's awesome.
At the Tattoo Bar in Fort Worth, which
Cool.
at one point was owned by Dimebag Darrell.
Sweet.
And a guy named Randy. So Dimebag bought it for his girlfriend Rita.
Cool.
And she co-owned it with Randy. And he had actually written on the back of an autograph that he gave me the number of the bar, to ask for Rita. And by the time I'd gotten up the nerve to actually take our demo tape to her, she had sold her half to Randy and he owned it outright. Oh. But Dime had told them that he'd heard our demo and he thought it was awesome. He gave it a listen and called me on a Tuesday and was like, "Hey, can you play?" And I was like, "Yeah, we can play, you know, what month?" And he was like, "Friday." I was like, this is on a Tuesday.
Okay, right on.
And so, you know, the band gathered at our rehearsal room in Dallas and knocked out the set list and probably played it twice a day for those 3 days until we debuted 28 years ago today.
Wow. That's awesome, man.
That is awesome.
That was a great feeling. The first show. And you know, what's funny is that eventually we stopped being a band for all intents and purposes. I still write music. I still have the plan to record it and I'm going to record it. But you know, after I've been unemployed for however many months, 11 months, one of the first things I did when I got some of my 401k money was buy the stuff I need to record at home. As it seems like everyone else in the world is doing it, I need to actually catch up and start doing it. And so I did that and wrote a book instead.
Okay, so let's talk about the book. What's the title of the book?
So the title of the book is House of the Black Moon.
Okay.
The origin of the book actually comes from a song I wrote. Me and my wife have been watching a bunch of True Blood and some vampire movies.
Yeah.
And I wrote this song that I didn't know it at first, but like the character in the song, I was like, I think I'm writing about a vampire.
Okay.
And something told me about this simple 4-minute song. I was like, this guy's story has a bigger story. And so I just started piecing it together in my head over the course of like 2 years. And then when I got laid off, I was like, you know what? I have the time to write the book now.
Yeah. There you go.
I don't know how to set up my Pro Logic and my Steven Slate drums software, but I know how to write on a piece of paper or type on my laptop. So I started writing this book. I think I typed the first word in November of 2024. I typed the last word in April and published it on May 24th.
Cool.
And in that time, and I've been told that that's like really fast for writing your first book or writing any book. And I only know what I know. So I think that seems to be the plan going forward, because now I'm writing the sequel to that book and I can't stop writing. And I never would have been able to tell you, like, in a million years that my guitar would collect dust while I was writing.
Yeah.
But now when I get a creative urge, when I get, you know, that mindset, I'm not writing to the guitar anymore. I'm running to my laptop and I'm writing like a bona fide author. And I never knew that would happen.
Yeah. I think, and writing, I've written 3 books, so it's a cool approach, and everyone's different. You know, my first one was poetry, and that was written probably, you know, over a course of 3 or 4 years, just because we went through my collection of poems and, you know, then just figure what would work. And then I wrote some more for the book, and then there was edits and stuff. So I don't know how long that one actually took. The second one I wrote was a psychological thriller that I actually wrote on a typewriter. like straight up, where you had
Yeah,
the
yeah.
little button for a race, and back it up.
Yeah.
That was I don't know, 300-400 pages. But they were kind of the same concept. It's like you had the idea. So every night when I came home from work, I was, and all of a sudden look at the clock, it's 3 a.m.
Right.
Gave it to, and all my friends were in it some way, shape, or form or character. So I loaned it to a friend to read, and then apparently he and his wife got in this big pissing match, and she fucking threw it in the charcoal grill, and I'm like, that was it. So it was never, and it was a great fucking book.
No.
I mean, the premise of it was basically this it was in the Catskills in New York, because I had a friend I worked with who was from New York. So I was getting all this descriptive area, from people that lived in, you know what I mean? This, if you guys were my friends at the time, you would have been tied to this book somehow. So it was a serial killer, but and this was before all the Dexters and shit. Okay. So he was a serial killer that was trust fund baby, lived in the Catskills hills of New York, and he was an artist. That was how he made his money. Trust fund baby, but he sustained himself by art, and he would do figures like, sculptures of people and stuff. And they were always women, in really bizarre, stances and whatnot. And what it was, the end of the day, was he was killing these women. He was luring them coming them back to his house, serial killer, killing those women all the same way, embalming their bodies and basically posing them. And then he would sculpture around them. And then he would name them. The name of the woman was the name of the sculpture. So as the book went on,
That's awesome.
the cops started figuring shit out. Wait a minute. This this sculpture named Anna reflects this woman who disappeared. And so eventually, the way he ended up getting caught is somebody had bought one of his statues at an exhibit, and they were moving into the house. As they moved into the house, the elbow hit the corner of a wall, and then the statue material just faded away, and there was the rotting elbow.
Oh,
And then
wow.
that turned the whole thing into this massive police, and then it took you down that path. But it's a great fucking book, man, and it just.
That's terrible.
So the fight
Yeah.
they had, it
Yeah.
wasn't about the book. The book was just a victim of the aftermath of the fight.
That was just because he was just his character in the book was kind of just some little
No, he's talking about the girl that burned your book up.
Yeah, I don't know. It was him and Ernie were fighting, and then when I asked him a couple weeks later, I'm like, dude, I need my book back, man, because he had the only copy. I hadn't gone to work yet and photocopied it, and he's like, oh man, my girlfriend and I got in this big fight, and and she just fucking was throwing shit, and your book landed in the fire. You're killing me. And, there it was. That was it, So, I mean, it's still in the head, but all the nuances of it,
Yeah.
because again, like my buddy Chris Pasomas, he worked at the group home I ran. He worked a night shift, and he was from New York. So when I was writing it, I'd call him up, dude, tell me about, this part of New York. And so I was making sure my descriptions were tying with what I was talking about. So when I wrote the third one, which is The Legend of Charles Ling, I actually wrote that during COVID hit, and I kind of had the same thing. Like, I need to write this book because I had the idea forever. So it probably took me a couple months or so. But Nikki and I would go somewhere, and I would be on my iPad on my notes section, and while she was driving, and I would write it that way, and we would just have conversations. She's in it, so she kind of helped formulate the ideas and the concepts behind it. So it just depends. When the muse strikes you, man, I could write a song right now if the muse hit me, just because that's how it is with the creative side of our brains, right? So,
Right.
However you write is however you write. Whether it takes you a month or whether it takes you a year, the end product is what matters the most. So, whether you're fast or slow or somewhere in between, it doesn't really matter. It's just you're going at your pace and what you're feeling. And one thing that I don't know if you're like this, but I never forced myself to write. Like, I didn't sit down every
Right.
day. Oh, I have to write a chapter. Now, I used to journal every day. But that was just kind of like, dear diary, here's my day. Right.
Well, that's
Yeah.
why I always love when people are like, how come you haven't released anything? Where's your music? It's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't work. It's not like going to a 9-to-5 job, right?
No.
You don't just get up and write. I mean, to Chris's point, some people do, and fuck those
Yeah.
people because
Yeah.
they have a gift, right? There's studios in Nashville filled with people like that who can just come up with shit on a moment's notice. So there are
Yeah.
people out there like that, but that's not
Right.
how. I think Chris just said it best. The muse has to strike you, right?
Mm-hmm. But I think those people that do that on a day in and day out basis, they're so in tune with that part of their brain that, like when I was in Nashville recording the second half of the last band I was in, the sound engineer and the I forget what her name, what the chick did. They loved my lyrics, so I actually wrote 3 or 4 songs for them in those 3 days, and they went and recorded, came up with melodies, and then started to shop them around and sell them to country artists because I have the ability to just do that. But it was in that moment in time, right? So I think if you're in that moment in time and you are somebody like, all you do for a living is write music and perform, you're always going to have something going on in your brain. You just always, because you never shut it off.
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
I think once you're a musician, you never stop being a musician.
yeah.
No.
And I think that's true with everything. Once you're an actor, a musician, anything that requires you to be a performer on some level, you never shut that off. You just
Right.
don't, because you always got to be in those ideas flow. Because at any given time, man, you can write the greatest song that everybody's ever heard if you don't have something to write down with it, and you forget it, and I'll write it, like falling asleep. Does this happen to you, William? Falling asleep, twilight, all of a sudden you get ideas in your head. It's like, motherfucker, I want to go to sleep.
Oh yeah.
Well, for
That's
me, I
usually
would
when it
get,
happens.
Right?
Yeah. Well, I would get riffs like in my head, like in the middle of a workday. And I'd be like, oh man, this riff is so awesome. I was like, I'm never going to forget this.
Right.
And
Right.
an hour later, I'm
Yep.
like, shit.
Damn it.
Sometimes
Gone.
as soon as you say you're never going to forget it, it's gone.
It's gone.
That's the jinx. I think I got to the point where I was like, after writing 300 songs, I was like,
Yeah.
all of a sudden your brain doesn't have room for all of them, for you to just
Right.
remember all of them, without help, or without, some kind of sound to kick it back into your memory. So, but then I wrote 300 more. And so after 600 songs, I can't even remember a riff that I think is the greatest riff I've ever written. It doesn't mean the riff actually wasn't good.
Right.
It just, there's no space for it anymore. It's almost like if the brain was a computer and, it only
Which
holds
it
so
is.
much data.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And it only holds so much data. So I wrote, I picked up the guitar and wrote something yesterday.
Yeah.
And I like to, kind of compartmentalize songs like into 4 different projects I have.
Okay.
And I know when I'm actually writing a House Divided song, because maybe it's the riff, maybe it's just kind of the mood or the atmosphere or the emotion that brought it. I was like, this will be a House Divided song, and I can't wait to show it to the guys, because maybe that'll be some kind of vehicle for kicking back up the old band or whatever. And I was like, and it's so good, I'm not going to forget it. An hour later. and I could just use this phone and record on notes, and but that's not my instinct. It's not second nature to me yet.
Nope.
So
Yeah, you got to
hopefully
get in the
back
habit
off
of doing that.
Yeah.
I probably have
Exactly.
500 ideas on my phone now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So here's what you do before you start get in this habit, because everything in life is habits, right?
Right.
So instead of picking up your guitar and plugging it in and making that the first thing you do, start your voice memos before you start doing anything.
Right. That's smart, and it's simple, and I just need to do it.
So I had the wrong approach. I used to wait till
Mm-hmm.
something inspired me and then hit my voice memos. That totally kills your vibe, number one.
Mm.
And number two, you don't catch what led up into that moment, because a lot of times there's things leading to that moment that you love so much that are
Right.
equally as valuable. And you don't want to lose those. Chris likes to call them golden moments.
Yep.
Boom. Nice.
Golden
So
moments.
for me, because I'm playing so much less than I used to, I know that if I go a week or 2 without picking up the guitar, that when I do pick it up, I'm going to have ideas just flowing, just coming out. And I need to actually do the voice memo thing when that happens, because if I know they're coming, then I should capture them right away.
Yeah, so just start that and then plug your
Yeah.
guitar in and start playing and go to town.
Yeah. So that I was telling you that the book was actually inspired by a song.
Yeah.
In turn, the book actually inspired about 4 other songs.
Right on.
So that I'm hoping before Christmas to actually record and release an EP
Cool.
of like House of the Black Moon EP songs
Right on.
inspired by the book. And
Right
and
on.
it'll
Very
be
nice.
Yeah, like
Little
a 1-2 punch.
like a William
Um,
Chandler version of Operation Mindcrime.
exactly. Yeah. Now, what's
Nice.
funny is that song that I had sent you guys, the engineer, who's a really respected guy here in Fort Worth, he was like, the vocals, he's like, I'm hearing kind of like a Jeff Tate
Mm.
vocal, and I could have died and like been perfectly happy and never ever thought to be compared to him. And this
Yeah.
is the same guy that, like 10 years earlier had told me, you should probably get someone else to sing your songs because
Mm.
I don't think you got it. And then to have him compare me to
Yeah.
Jeff Tate, it was
That's
like
cool.
a heavenly comment. And I actually don't hear it in the song, but I'll
Yeah.
I'll take it. It's a good
Absolutely.
time.
Yeah. That's cool. Though. I never heard that I had a Southern drawl when I sang, but so many people told me you sound like a Southern rocker. That's like, okay.
Really?
But I don't hear it, but everybody hears it,
I hear
which
it.
is why it fits so well with what we created in Nemesis, because it was an authentic sound for that type of rock band,
Okay,
but,
so I'd heard the name Nemesis,
mhm.
but I'd never listened to you guys. So if I was asking you, what was your main sound? What did you sound like?
We sound
would
like
that
Creed. That's that whole concept. We were better than Creed. I have a better range than Scott Stapp. But at the time, how I wrote was how Stapp writes. It's about life and religion, and it's not about partying, getting drunk, getting laid, right?
Right.
Was very descriptive in how I would write my songs. They would storytelling in a rock and roll type thing, like the song you heard, Free Man.
Yeah.
I don't like to explain to people what it is because I want them to have their own interpretation of it. But it's basically it was me at a point in my life where I was just tired of being told what to do and how to do it, and I'm going to be a free man. I'm going to do what I want. I just it's just Nikki, my wife, has always said this thing about me: you either love or hate me. There's no in between. There's no gray. And part of those that hate me is because I don't have a filter, and I don't know how to control my filter. I've learned over the years to silence myself. I did something last week where I was like, "Oh, I didn't say that,"
Good job.
But it's just a thing. I'm going to be a free man. I want to be free. I want to be free of all these rules and these restrictions and how you're telling me to live. So they were a piece of my soul. And then, so when I gave him the mic and then he realized as he read them and heard me sing them, that's why, number one, he said it never got tired, because I approached every show like, this is it. This is the last time we're going to play live. So I sung those songs and that's why I was never really big into covers, because I couldn't immerse myself into a cover like I could immerse myself into something I wrote, because I lived that. So
Exactly.
from a music standpoint, it's hard to say, because Mike created his own sound, because he doesn't play anybody else's music. He created his own thing, and people tell him he created his own thing. And we were around when the Tempe music scene was exploding with the Jim Blossoms and Refreshments and Dead Hot Works. So we weren't that Tempe jingle jangle sound. We were straight up just in your face rock, which is why we could play with bands like Sacred Reich all the way to Enough's Enough, to Marshall Tucker Band, Tony McAlpine, and everybody in between, because we weren't locked in a category.
Right.
So
and we definitely weren't scared to step on a stage with anybody.
No. So that was that thing that the only really way to explain it is we were Creed before Creed was Creed. But I think our product was, I mean, it's going to sound bold as fuck, but I think our first album, if we ever released it, I think would have went toe to toe with My Own Prison, just because every song that we played was so well received over and over and over again.
Right.
With people that never saw us, you know what I mean? And then just you go from playing with 2 people and then playing it in front of 1,000 and even more in a short amount of time. That
happened within 6 months of
right.
him
So it shows you
joining the band.
the music is what bringing people in. It's not my antics. It's not Scott's drumming or Mike's solos and shit. It's the whole element. And the fact that we had this polished product that we put on regardless every night, regardless of how we were feeling, whether we had a shit day or whether I had a cold mic, it didn't matter. It's like once it was our time, those 40 minutes, hour, whatever it was like nonstop. The first 3 songs out the gate, no words to the crowd. It's just boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, how you doing? And they're just like, remember that Maxwell commercials or Memorex, is it Live or Memorex where the guy's in the chair and the hair's.
Yeah.
That's
sure.
what we did. That's what we did. But that alone, I think, helped build us a following. So,
and those parts were planned. I mean, we thought this shit out. We all agreed as a group, let's go out there and just kick their ass for like 11 straight minutes of our set. Even if our set's only 20 minutes long, we still kick their ass for the first 11 minutes.
Nice.
And so that's like, so like how you asked,
having been in bands, you're going to find this fascinating, but there was never nobody ran that band. No. Scott and I formed that band only because we were there first.
Yeah.
We neither one of us were like, we have 50% of the vote and then you two have 25%. It wasn't like everybody had an equal 25% vote.
Yeah.
If 3 people didn't like it and one person liked it, that one person either had to live with it or explain their side of it again to get the other 3 to buy into it.
Right.
Right.
It was always what was best for the song.
Yeah. Yep.
And I think that's probably another direction I went wrong was that, and even if I don't think it was the reality, but the perception was that I wouldn't listen to someone else's opinion or that I wouldn't take them seriously. And I think the other guys probably just stopped giving their input after a while because they figured I was going to try to shoot it down or put my own stamp on it and to make it mine. And, growing up and maturing and seeing things from other people's perspectives let me know, like, maybe I definitely should have listened at this point, and not tried to take over too much. But at the time I felt that I was the only one who actually was trying to make this work and make it an actual thing. And
see, I didn't have
to get day jobs.
I didn't have that problem, William, but I'll tell you where I would have never had that problem, because my gift was, whether it was true or not, I never thought I was good enough to be that person, right? I always felt blessed that these 3 guys were standing in front of me, because in my eyes, they were all better musicians than me. Every one of them.
But see, that was the mindset of us, William. None of us had an ego. I did not have LSD, right? I did not have lead singer's disease. I knew what I did nobody else could do, but it was from a vantage point of, because that's because I own what I do. I'm not the greatest singer in the world. I'm not the greatest lyricist in the world. I don't come with the best melodies in the world, but I knew my role and I enjoyed what I did. I just wanted to jam. And I mean, that was whenever there was any type of like little scuffle, I'm like, fuck it, let's just go jam, man. Let's shut up. Let's go play.
He did have that gift.
Because I just liked being on stage. I just liked performing in front of people. And at the end of the day, that's all I cared about, was just jamming. So we were blessed enough not to have those egos and the infighting, the Yoko Ono moments, because none of us had an ego. None of us approached like my last band I was in. It derailed because the guitar player thought he was Eddie Van Halen and his head wouldn't fit to the door and he had temper tantrums and shit. So finally it was just like, fuck you, dude. We almost lost 2 members when we were in Sturgis, and then we lost one when we came back, and then that was replaced. And then it's just your ego destroys everything.
Well, here's a great example of what Chris just brought up, a great example for young musicians out there, old musicians, whatever. If you think that you're so important to the band that without you, they can't go on, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
Right.
And on the flip side of that, as the band, if like Chris doesn't play an instrument, he was our front man, right? He's our singer. He's the guy that makes sure that the show goes off without a hitch. Give that person the power to do that. When we stepped on the stage, I expected him to be larger than life. I expected him to act not egotistical, but I expected him to be larger than life, right? I wasn't absolutely. So in the audience's eyes, they were like, oh, wow, that's his band, That's how I wanted it to look, this is Chris Dunham's band. We
Even though
were
it wasn't.
fronting, no, but that's how the illusion should have looked.
Right. And yeah, you know.
And we made it look that way.
Yeah.
But when we stepped
Yeah.
off stage and Chris started talking to people, they were always fascinated that he wasn't
Mm.
like, oh, don't talk to me kind of guy.
Right. Right.
He'd be like, hey, what's up? You want to go have
Yeah.
a beer? Like,
Yeah.
nice to
yeah.
meet you.
You know.
I think another thing that helped derail us, at least when it came to playing live, was my two most important influences as music king were Kiss and Pantera.
Mm.
And
I love Pantera.
both of those
too.
bands like to go out and not only destroy the audience, but destroy the other bands that were playing with them.
Right.
It almost became like a competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And a healthy competition is fine.
Sure.
Yes.
But when that's kind of when that's your mindset going into a show,
Right.
we actually didn't become part of the scene and have all these other bands that we were friends with, which we could have very
Yeah.
easily had if we just reached out to them or,
Yeah.
like
That's how we kept getting better and better
Mhm.
shows as well. The rhythm guitar player for Sacred Reich was actually our sound man at the Mason Jar. So
oh wow.
So
You
he
know-
loved us. Except when
Yeah.
he told us, hey guys, you got one more song. Okay, I got the song. 12 minutes later, it's like, dude, don't ever play that song again. Okay.
that's one of the
So-
best stories that we got, man. He's like, you got one
Your
more song.
is 12 minutes long.
And Mike and I looked at each
Check
other.
this
Intervention
out.
divine.
I'm going to lay this story out. So you're opening up for the most popular band in Phoenix of that style at the time. Sacred Reich was it. They were formed there. Flotsam and Jetsam was formed there, but they
Yep.
ended up,
Yeah. I love
You
both
know,
those bands.
they didn't get quite as big. Sacred Reich in that music genre, they were it.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
Chris said, the rhythm guitar player loved us. So they're on right after us. He's like, hey, you guys got one more song? Him and I look at each other. We had just written this song and we loved
Yeah.
it. We never got to
Yeah.
play it in front of
Mm-mm.
people yet. So
Mhm.
we started playing it, and the son of a bitch was 12 minutes long.
Mhm. It was awesome. That was a great song.
He could
It
have
was-
burned a hole
yeah.
through us about
Yeah.
halfway through that
Uh-huh.
song.
He kept, and I didn't really pay attention to him, but everything I saw, I'm like, oh yeah. But yeah,
Have you
yeah.
Have you guys seen the video of Nirvana playing Trees in Dallas and Kurt Cobain
Mm-mm.
getting into the fight with the event staff guy?
I don't
at the
think so.
front?
Mm-mm. No.
I'll have to look that up.
So
Yeah.
this was just a few weeks after Nevermind had come out. So they're not huge yet, and they're playing a 500, person place in Dallas.
Yeah.
And the staff of Trees apparently had a problem with Nirvana, and Kurt Cobain had a problem with their soundboard, so he actually hacked it with his guitar, which really pissed them off.
Yeah.
And he does a stage dive into the crowd during a song, and as he's coming back on stage, and the event staff guy who's helping him, he's like kind of open palm striking him to the face.
Okay.
So Kurt Cobain takes his guitar and he smashes the guy's face with it.
Oh, shit.
The guy took his head, and there's blood pouring out of his head.
Uh-huh.
So he punches Kurt Cobain.
Yeah.
The show ends, like Dave Grohl jumps over his drums so fast, and he's in between them. And eventually, like, cooler heads prevail. They all come down. Nirvana actually finishes their set. But when the show's over, they run out, and that guy and his friends are all waiting to kill them.
Oh.
So they manage to escape into a taxi cab.
Mhm.
And there's video of this. You can see it on YouTube.
Okay.
Well, we headlined that very same club. And there was an opening band, a middle band, and us. Well, we do our sound check and we go eat. When we come back, we find out the middle band has pulled out.
Oh.
So instead of going on at midnight now, we're going on at 11.
Gotcha.
Oh,
Well, that's
shit.
great, except that all our friends and fans, whatnot, they're all at midnight.
Right.
So at about 11:45, our fans start trickling in. And that's right when the sound guy says, you've got 2 more songs. And we're like, okay. So we play the first one. And then he says, that's it. You're done. And we're like, what about the
Ouch.
last song? He's like, no, you're done. So we start playing it anyway.
Good.
And then all of a sudden, there's no sound.
He
There's
cut you
no
off.
vocal. There's no guitar. He just cut us off. We get pissed off. The crowd's confused. They don't know what the hell's happening. They're pissed off. Our friends,
Yeah.
who just sat down with beers,
Right.
they don't know what's going on. When all of a sudden someone yells something to us, which pisses off our friends, and the event staff of Trees and our friends are now facing off in the parking lot of the club. And I try me and my dad, who was there, we managed to get them not to have a fist fight. And then another one of our friends who's in the front of the club, he pisses on the Q102 van. Who had just announced that House Divided was playing Trees and come down here and see him not knowing that the show's already over,
Right.
and that there's about to be a barroom brawl.
Wow.
So that was our infamous Nirvana-like story of headlining Trees. And
There
it was
you
the one and only time that we got to play that show.
Right on. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a fun story. So let's wrap this up. Tell people where they can find your book, William.
Yes. So once again, the name of the book is House of the Black Moon. It is a dramatic suspense story that's full of action, revenge, horror, and a
Nice.
doomed love story.
Cool.
I'll show you the book right here,
There you go.
and you can
Very
get
cool.
it. You can get it on Amazon and Kindle if you like to read your books
Okay.
on a tablet or a laptop.
Cool.
And it's it's the favorite thing I'm doing. I never thought I'd be an author, and here I am, and I can't wait to keep
There you
writing
are.
the sequel and the trilogy.
That's awesome.
Thank
man.
you guys
Congratulations.
for having me on.
Minutes.
This was a
Yeah.
blast.
When you get the sequel written, we'll have to have you come back on. We can talk more about music and books because,
Absolutely.
obviously we love talking music because we've done that basically for almost 90 minutes now.
Yeah,
We're good at
I
it.
look forward.
Yeah, we're. Hey, so we wrap up very show like this. If you're feeling sad, depressed, suicidal, don't do it. Go outside, go for a run, go scream in a pillow, go journal, go find somebody to talk to. Call your neighbor, call your parents, call somebody. If you can't find somebody, text 988. Somebody's there waiting to respond to you to help talk you out of your doom and gloom. Tomorrow's always a better day, especially when you wake up in it. Don't leave a hole in somebody's heart because somebody does love you, so they will miss you. Hell, we'll miss you because that's what we're about, is everybody coming together, and tomorrow's always a better day. So with that being said, I'm Chris. He's Mike. This is William Chandler. You can find him on Amazon and Kindle for his book. The name of the book again?
House of the Black Moon.
House of the Black Moon. Until next time, everybody. See ya.
Thanks for coming on, William.
Thank you,
very
William.
much.
Don't leave yet.
I won't, man.
Let's.
We're gonna find it.